Hello all, this is Robert with another Tech Geek 311 tech app and review and demo. I'm also going to show you a setup today. Today we're going to go over the cloud cameras from the company DLink. So what I want to show you guys here, this is their main website. This shows you right here the DLink cloud services. This tells you that you can use their routers or you can use their cameras, and you can connect these, like you can see here in this picture, wirelessly to your iPhones or iPads or Macs or computers. Down here it shows you basically what it is. Here's the camera, computer, and also the phone or iPads right here. iPads, computers, and phones. You can use these items pretty much anywhere. Now, we currently have 2 of these cloud cameras. So I want to give you an idea of which cloud cameras they have here in stock. So here's some that they have. Now this one here, I want to show you guys, this is a DCS 2310L. We got this one to try out because it's an outdoor camera. The only downside though, it has no pan, tilt, or zoom, and it did not show any video or any picture on our computers. We tried it several times, we set it up correctly, and never could get anything to show up. So that one had to be returned. Right now, currently, I tried this one too, the DCS 522L. This is the one I got after this one. Same thing, same problem. For one, this one would not pan all the way down completely, and it would not show any video or pictures on the computers. It did on my phones and on the iPad, but not on the computers. This one is probably one that's good, but it's not outdoors, unfortunately. And this one here is an outdoor camera, but there's been a lot of reviews saying that it doesn't work well and that it actually went out depending on the temperatures. So if the temperature got too low, the camera went out. Okay, scrolling down a little more. These are some more cameras. These don't have any pan, tilt, or zoom. None of these that I'm showing you. Now we come down here to the DCS 5020L. This one here we currently have. We're currently using this one. This one does work very well. It is indoors, but I'm going to make it an outdoor camera. I have a dome coming in from China that'll allow me to put it outside and keep it waterproof. This one works very well. Works on the computers, works on the iPad, works on the iPhones, no problem. And it has a very strong connection. The only downside, it doesn't have an SD card, but besides that, you can get all your pictures and videos through your email, which I think is much better. Let's go down a little further. We got a couple more cameras here that are all cloud cameras. Then there's this one, the 2332L. This is almost the same as the other one I just showed you. This is also an outdoor. It has the SD card slot, but same thing, has no pan, tilt, or zoom. Alright, this camera we currently have, the DCS 5010L. I have actually 3 of these. They work very well. No problem using them with the iPhones or iPads or Macs or PC. They pan and tilt very easily, have very good night vision. Everything seems to work well. I'm going to give you guys a setup and demo because I'm going to set up the last one today. Then you have the baby cam, which I'm not too fond of. I'll show you another baby cam in another video, which is much better. It doesn't work with your phones. This one's Wi-Fi. The downside of this one though, same thing, doesn't have a pan, tilt, or anything. You of course have the zoom, you have the lullabies, motion detection, all that, but without the fact of having pan, tilt, and zoom, doesn't make it worthwhile. Let's go down a little further, show you some more. These are some more they have. This one here, this 522LB1, this is actually what they have in store. They don't tell you that, unfortunately. You're going to look and see it's going to say 522L. This B1 is what catches everyone. This is the correct program software you want to use for this one. I found that out from trial and error and running to the store back and forth. So that's something I want to give you guys a little tidbit about. 2330L, same thing. It's an outdoor camera. It doesn't have any pan, tilt, or zoom. Alright, so we're going to scroll back up here. Of course, you have their routers and you have their cloud storage. So you have all this in there. Now I'm going to go up here and go into my devices, and we're going to go into our camera 3C. Okay, and so I've named these cameras generic names primarily, even though I have a password on them. I don't want people to be able to hack in, so I did not give them a camera name saying this is our bedroom, this is our living room, things like that. I wanted it to be generic, so I basically gave them a generic name, so you don't know which one is which. Now on the Mac, if you notice, it does take a little while to connect. You do have to load a lot of Java programs in order to get this thing to work. Occasionally, most of the time, the Mac will lock up, or the website will lock up, and you cannot get through. You notice right now it's taking a little while, even though I did open this up a few seconds before starting this. So it does take a little while on the Mac, unfortunately. On the PC, you are able to pull it up pretty easy, but the same thing, you're going to run into problems with the Java program. This thing requires a Java plugin in order to play it through the PCs. So we'll see if this thing loads up. Okay, so now we're going to load it into Camera 3C. I'm going to go ahead and take the volume off. Alright, so right here you can see where I have Camera 3C pointing. This is pretty much outside front door. These two are actually within the house, so they're indoors. This is indoors too, this Camera 3C, but it's actually on a window, so that's why you notice that you're getting part of the window on the bottom here. You have all the controls here, of course. You have the brightness, you have the zoom, you can take a snapshot, you can change its resolution, you have the day or night view, auto view, and you have, of course, your controls to be able to control it. Then you move over here and you get this thing, they call it large steps. This basically gives it sort of like an angle of where you want it to be viewed, in other words. You have a full screen view over here, and of course you have the sound, which I muted. This basically is your live view. This is what you'll get with each and every camera, so you can view them on your computers as long as they're running the Java programs. Up here on this tab, you're going to get the settings tab. And this is where you can name it, whatever you want to name it. Gives you your ID numbers, when it was activated, and so forth. You can connect the camera wirelessly, which most people do. This one also comes with an enabled extender mode, which allows it to extend the range of the wireless network it's connected to. So that gives you better coverage on that. Of course, you have your notifications, you get your email, then you can set up motion detection and sound detection. Now you notice here I set it up on schedule. It's because we have a motion light that turns on the outside, and that seems to activate the camera every single time that light turns on or turns off. I don't know if that's a flub because it's in the window area or not, but either way I set a schedule, so now I don't have that issue anymore. But the problem is, ever since I set that schedule now, it's not really picking up the motion too well, so I'm waiting until I get it on the outside. Then of course down here we have the advanced settings, which I'll have to show you on the PC because on the Mac it is very, very slow and it locks up a lot. Then at the very bottom you can remove this device if in fact you need to go return it or exchange it or whatever. Alright, so that's pretty much the program itself. That's what you're going to get. I'll show you the fourth one here once we set it up. We're going to go down here on the bottom, and under support you're going to have these three tabs: your fax, your download, and contact. Let's go into download. Now, I don't need to download any of these programs, but I wanted to give you guys an idea and show you something. This is where I got hung up when I first did this. Whatever camera is highlighted in here, all of its download information is down here. It's firmware, user manuals, and the setup wizards. And if you notice the setup wizards say Windows and Mac, Windows and Mac. Any one of these cameras I click on, you'll notice that changes. And this is where I got hung up. I was trying to load a camera with the wrong program. So you have to simply scroll over here, and let's say we're going to do a 5010 today. Okay, this tells you the firmware, tells you what it is, gives you the manuals, and gives you your setup. So if you want to do a Mac setup or a Windows setup or a DView cam, you can do all that. Any one of these cameras you click on, you'll notice it changes. So each one, you can scroll through each one of these cameras and it'll give you just that setup for that camera alone. Okay, now I've already downloaded the one for the other camera, so when we go into that, I'll go ahead and show you that how it works. You also have router and you also have storage, which I don't have either one because I'm using the Apple Extreme and Express, so there's nothing I can show you on that. Then of course they give you the mobile app, and this is the one that works with the iPhone. They give you a little introductory, and then they show you. Works with Apple, Google, and Windows. This tells you the My DLink Plus. This is for the iPads, and that gives you for the tablets. Okay? Alright, so now that we've done all that, we'll go in and I'm going to show you the packages, show you the boxes, and then we'll get into setting up the last camera. Alright, now since I have these cameras set up, I pretty much can't show you the actual cameras that I have now, but we're going to do a setup of my last ones that we got. First, I want to go ahead and show you this one. And this is our DCS 5020L, as you see right down here on the bottom. Here's our white camera. You can notice it has the cloud logo on there. Okay, this says pan, tilt. You've got the day and night vision and all that, the sound, the motion detection, all that. So right here on the side, this gives you all the features. And then this shows you their array of cloud cameras that they have. Back here, it gives you an idea, shows you the iOS app, shows you that it has the Wi-Fi extender, gives you an idea of the parts, shows you all the stuff there. And right here again, it shows you how it works, how it can connect, and where you can put it. So this one, like I said, is currently set up. So I can't really show you that one. But let's get into the one I want to do today. Alright, this one has a little different box. Okay, these are the DCS's 5010Ls. As you can see right there. Same thing. Gives you the description. Shows you the camera. Down here gives you the cloud logo. Okay? So this is the one we're going to set up today. So what we're going to do, let's go ahead and get into this. Alright. Let's go ahead and open this box up. Alright, so with every one of these, you're going to come up with this thing. This is your little startup guide. I recommend if you have no experience in cameras or any of these things, go ahead and look through this. It'll be very helpful for you. Of course, you have here Connect More. Gives you all the information on there. If you want to mount this thing, they give you a mount lining, which I didn't end up using. Of course, you have their warranty. Have their little statement here, their legal business, and then of course you have their little setup guide. Setup guide is okay. Pretty much just tells you to go to their website and to download their setup. Gives you the whole thing in here, what to do. I didn't need to use it. I'm a little more tech savvy than that, but if you're not as tech savvy, then by all means go through the guide. That's what it's there for. So now let's get into this box here, since this is the one we're going to set up today. Alright, so start off with, you have your camera all wrapped up. So let's get that out of there. Okay, we'll go ahead and save that. Then of course you have this little plastic on top. Go ahead and get rid of this stuff. Okay, so it's very shiny. That's probably why these are indoor cameras. If you notice here on the back, this gives you your power button and your Ethernet button. And then of course you have on here your reset button, which is right above my finger. And then this button here is your WPS, your WEP. So that depends on your routers, depends on your system you have set up, if you're going to actually need to activate that or not. Okay, so let me take all this stuff off, see if I can get this bottom without actually tearing it. It's always so tricky to get this plastic stuff off of this thing. But I did it for all the other cameras, so I can do it for this one too. Okay, there you go. Nice, shiny camera. You can see its little LEDs in front. This helps it with the night vision. And of course you have your little zoom and manual zoom here and your antenna. Alright, oh, and also one more thing on the bottom. This shows you where you can mount it from. So, speaking of the mount, we have the mount right here. Okay, this is the mount. Okay, put that in there. The mount pretty much has this thing that unscrews. Screw it through the hole here, and then you screw it through there. And then you have a little adjuster wheel here. Mounts it up or down, and of course you have your screw holes. So you can screw it in. So, we don't need our mount for now. Let's put that to the side. Then in here you have your power cord. Got it stuck on the Ethernet cable there. Okay, you have your power cord. Alright. And then right here, of course, you have your Ethernet cable. Then down here, of course, they give you your mounting screws, however you want to mount it. That's it. That's pretty much the box. Alright, so let me go ahead and show you how this thing gets set up. Okay, so now, right back here on my router, you notice how I have it plugged in, the Ethernet cable. Here's the Ethernet cable. So now I take the camera over here. I'm going to take the plug and plug it into here and give it some power. Okay, and take the plug on this side. Now, before I plug it into the power, take your Ethernet cable right here. Okay, and what you're going to do is you want to plug that right back here on the back. So you're going to put your Ethernet cable in here. There's your Ethernet cable. Now, let's turn this thing around. I'm going to go ahead and plug in the power cable, which I'm going to show you guys from this side. Okay, you can see where the connection is right there. Now, as soon as I plug this thing in, this thing is going to reboot. There you go. Now, I want you to concentrate on these two lights here. You have a blue and you have a red. Alright, I'm going to show you those in a little while, what the meaning is. Alright, now that we have it plugged in, you're going to go into your downloads, because this is where it's going to actually show up. You notice here I've got a lot of these setup wizards. Okay, so I'm going to go in here and I want to do the 5010L, which is this one down here. Since that's the one we're going to set up, it's going to open it. It's going to close out Safari. Then of course Windows is going to tell you that this came from the internet. Do you want to open it? You're going to say yes. Alright, and then it's going to bring this screen up here. Now, you want to make sure, like I told you before, that you're using the correct setup. So it has to say right here, DCS and whatever the model number is. You should also see the camera picture as well. Okay, so we're going to go to Start. It's going to check for any updates. You're going to tap on Accept. Going to go to Next. Okay, and then now here it tells you exactly what I just showed you guys. Okay, this tells you cloud camera, so it tells you connect to Ethernet, what we just did. You're going to hit Next. It's going to say connected to the router, which is what we did. Then your power adapter, which allows it to reboot. And then it's going to ask you for the LED. Now you want to make sure the LED is showing green, which we've got a green signal on it now, so no problem there. Then we're going to hit Next, and it's going to ask you, is it solid green? Yes. Now it's going to search for your camera. And like I said, since we're using the 5010A or 10L, it's going to bring up my other cameras that I currently have set up already, because we're using the exact same program. But you notice the one that I want is the one in yellow, which is this one up here. It's going to continue searching for the cameras, and it should find my second one as well. Sometimes the Mac does, sometimes it doesn't, but it doesn't really make a difference because we're not setting those up anymore. Okay? So, down here on the bottom they give you an idea where you can look at the model number, the Mac ID, gives you all the information and shows you where that is exactly. Okay, and this tells you here, register with your DLink, not register with the DLink, wired and wireless. So it gives you the idea of what these cameras are. Alright, like I said, it didn't find the second one, but that's fine. So we're going to highlight the first one. Okay, and then it's going to ask you for your password. So I'm going to use the exact same password I did before. Alright, give it a password, hit Next. It's going to save that password to that camera. So basically all of our cameras have the same passwords, so I don't have to think about anything new or anything different. Okay, it's going to go ask for the, so let's continue saving right now. Alright, now it's going to ask you, do you want to do it by Ethernet cable or you want to do it by Wi-Fi? And I'm going to select a wireless network. It's going to look and try to find my wireless network. Okay, which sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. There it is, found my wireless network. You plug in your password to your wireless network. Okay, you're going to hit Next. It's going to save your network settings. And then it's going to ask you to unplug that Ethernet cable. And at that time, you're going to check the LEDs again. Make sure that they're green. Okay, so it says it's going to be restarting. Okay, now it says unplug. So now I unplugged the Ethernet cable. I'm waiting for that light to turn green. That tells me it has a good Wi-Fi connection. Okay, my light just turned green, so I hit OK. It's going to restart the network now. It's going to check the internet connection. So you want to let this do the setup. It does it all automatically for you. Once you're using the correct setup wizard, this setup is no problem. Okay, let it check the internet connection. It usually takes a little while. This depends on your internet connection. Depends on how fast your router is. Alright, then it's going to ask you here to enable your services. So yes, I have an account. Alright, I'm going to hit next. It's going to sign into your account. And so it's going to add this camera now to your DLink account. So then you'll have this camera now set up. Okay, so it's adding it to your account. And this usually takes a while, like I said, it takes a little while for setup, but it's usually a pretty easy process. Not really that hard. And gets everything pretty much set up where you want it and how you want it. Okay, and then once this finishes, you'll see it'll bring us into another screen that'll actually show what the camera's viewing. Since the camera's actually sort of on my side, you'll get my back or my arm. That's pretty much the view you'll get. And then there you go. So now we're logged in. Got us into the account. Got your name, your password, and all that. Gives you a name. There it is. Touches night vision. You got my back. You got my arm. And that shows you. And then you can add a shortcut if you want to your desktop. Hit finish. It's going to add the shortcut. And it's going to automatically bring you into your account. So now I'm going to go into here. I'm going to go ahead and sign in. Okay, now you notice we have the camera on top. There it is. There's the DCS 5010L. Then it's going to ask me for a firmware update. You always want to do this because you want to keep these things up to date. So we're going to go here and we're going to do the firmware update. This sometimes takes a little bit of time. So I'll let this go ahead and run. And this will update the firmware. You want to keep all the cameras updated on firmware. I've read many times with people, they've complained, and even on their website it says you must plug it into Ethernet in order to update the firmware. Well, if you notice, I don't have it plugged into my Ethernet anymore. It is wireless, and I am updating. I had this show up on my phone before while I was out and about, and I was able to update the firmware without having to actually plug it in. So I don't know where they're getting this thing where you have to unplug it. I never have, and I've updated the firmware on all my cameras. Never had an issue with that. So you can see it right now, it's working wirelessly, and it's updating the firmware. Once this firmware gets updated, the camera will automatically reboot, so you won't be able to have access to the camera itself while it's doing that. But once it's done, then you'll have access again. Alright, so once the firmware is complete, the camera will actually reboot itself. So you get a red and blue light. The light will blink red, and then it'll automatically reboot it. So now we're going to return to the device page. It's going to give us our live view. It usually takes about a good 10-12 minutes. That's about as long as this one took. So do expect that when you are doing your firmware update from your computer or on your phone or on your iPad. Like I said, since it is using a wireless connection, it might take a little bit longer than normal. If you want to get the camera out and go ahead and try and plug it in, that's up to you, depending on where you have the camera set up. Alright, so we're going to let's go ahead and try to bring up this live view. It might take a little while because I think the Mac usually gets a little slow after running the program here. On the Mac and on the PC, sometimes I don't know if it's their website or if it's just the internet connections or the Wi-Fi connections that we have, but it does run sometimes a little bit slow. The advanced settings, of course, definitely run slow, definitely locks up. And I don't know if that's a Mac issue or if that's primarily an internet issue. But it is something that I have noticed, and I want to let you guys be aware of that. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and load up. It took a little while. Like I said, sometimes the Mac gets a little locked up. PC sometimes gets the same thing. I'm going to take the volume off so we don't get any reverb here. Now you can see this is what the camera is actually viewing. You can adjust the brightness if you want. You can do the zoom controls on here. As you can see, you can take a snapshot, change the resolution. You can change this auto day and night view, and of course you have pan and scan, and you still have the big steps. So I want to pan the camera. You'll notice how it pans pretty easy, pans pretty fast, and then of course you have the center button that centers it back where it was. And you'll notice this thing will pan down pretty far. If you see that, I've panned down almost down to my feet. Hit the center button, it'll go right back up to where it was. Okay, you go into settings, and now in here, like I said, you can change the name. So we're going to take this name out of here, and we're going to call this camera 4, and we're going to call it 4D. Okay, we've got it connected wirelessly. Send email notifications we don't need right now with this one. Motion detection I don't need right now in this one. And then you have, of course, your advanced settings and all that. Once you do this, you want to click somewhere outside the box, and you're going to get this save button on the bottom. You're going to hit save, and then of course it's going to ask you for your wireless network again. So you want to make sure you have that clicked in. So you hit this little refresh, and then sometimes it'll click, sometimes it won't. Like I said, it depends on the connections here. If you hit return again, sometimes you can refresh it. Like I said, sometimes it'll save it, sometimes it won't. This is, I don't know if it's a flaw with the Mac. I don't know if it's a flaw with the website. Sometimes this happens, sometimes it doesn't. It just really depends on your internet connection, really depends on what's going on. As you see right there, now I finally pulled it up. Go down here to save. It's going to ask you, it may take a few minutes. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Like I said, I can switch to my other camera just in case I want to get out of it. And then I can go back in. So this could be a flaw with their website. Could be a flaw with DLink themselves on how it is. Could be a flaw, maybe my Mac is too slow. I really don't know. I have run into this issue many times before. It's not really an issue that's a deal breaker because, like I said, it works most of the time. Today, I don't know why I'm having a few issues. Maybe my Mac is just running a little slow. Maybe I got too many things running. But most of the time, like I said, it works pretty fast. And like I said, you can use your iPad or you can use your iPhone and you can change that name if you want. You can add a few more of the little settings on there if you want. So it does work. It does work to allow you to do that. All right. So that's basically the DLink cameras. In my other video, I'm going to show you guys how the iPhone app works. Give you an idea of how it pans around, scans, and all that. And that way you guys can see this in action wirelessly and using wherever you want. All right. If you like this video, guys, hit your like button below. Subscribe if you haven't. Glad for you guys watching it. And I will catch you guys later. Thanks for watching.